Roderick John Thomas was born in Clincarrig near Neath on the 11th of January 1947. After beginning his career at Gloucester City, Bert Head signed him for Swindon in July 1964. The cost? £500. Tremendous value for a player who went on to become the most capped player in Swindon's history. After securing a place in the town's first team, he gained international honours for Wales at under-23 and full level. His debut in the senior side, a 0-0 draw with Northern Ireland. Rod made over 300 appearances for Swindon, including in the famous 1968-69 League Cup and promotion-winning side, and playing a major part in the double Anglo-Italian success of 1969-70. Former town boss Dave Mackay persuaded him to join Derby County in 1973 for £100,000, and Rod was part of their title-winning side in 1975. He also saw service for Cardiff City, a second spell with Gloucester, Newport, Bath and Barry. Roderick John Thomas reunited with his 68-69 teammates on the 50th anniversary of their success. Roderick John Thomas, a true Swindon Town legend.
Good evening, everyone. And despite this being our usual Monday night slot, this is actually an unplanned episode, and it follows on from today's really sad news of the passing of Rod Thomas. So this is a hastily arranged episode that gives us the opportunity really to pay tribute to Rod. So without further ado, I'll bring Vic on quickly. Sorry, I won't do that very quickly because it just lost him very briefly. But just as Vic comes back on, I will bring him on very shortly. But I'll use this opportunity to introduce also, we do have one other guest this evening, and we're pleased to have along with us Dick Mattick, club historian. So first of all, before I bring Dick on, I will bring Vic on. I think we've got him again.
Yeah, hi Ray, thanks very much indeed for that. Some reason it sort of cut out at the beginning, but apologies for that. A very sad day in the history of Swindon Town Football Club, of course. We are paying tribute to one of our greatest players, one of that Wembley team back in 1969. But so much more than that. They got promotion the same year. They won the Anglo-Italian Cups. Just such a fantastic era in the history of Swindon Town Football Club. And Rod Thomas was a major part of that.
Yes, indeed. And thanks, Vic. And I'll bring Dick on now. Okay. Good evening, Dick.
Good evening. Yeah, good evening. Very sad news indeed, because I say he wasn't very much older than me, and it makes you think how the years are going by. But it does bring back a lot of happy memories. And I have to correct Vic on a little bit, or refine it. He actually cost £2,000.
Eventually.
Swindon had to pay another 500 when he'd made 16 appearances, and when he won a cap for Wales, they had to pay another £1,000. Fortunately, it was only when he got a first cap, because he did go on to get over 50 caps for Wales.
And remains, of course, Swindon's most capped player, doesn't he?
Indeed. And I think shows his versatility that... of course, whereas most of the time with Swindon, he played as a right back. For Wales, he quite often played on the left back.
And I remember him and the telescopic legs, Dick. I mean, they were just those legs seemed to stretch out on the sliding tackle, and it was a wonderful player. Simple as that, really. Elegant, I think, is the word, isn't it?
Well, back at grammar school, they used to have this idea that, in fact, if you had long legs, you were good for being a defender, because you could put them out and get in the way of the forwards, whereas you weren't so very good at being a forward, because it took a long time for the brain's message to get to the end of your legs. And they used to say that Michael Parkinson said you measured fullbacks in inches rather than footballing ability. Well, Rod Thomas had both.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stacks of it. I have to say, yeah.
Go on, Dick. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, he came to Swindon originally as an inside forward. And I have to admit, I'm the world's worst judge of a player, but when I saw him originally playing inside forward in the reserve team, I thought, he just looked awful. But as I say, he developed into a very good fullback with a lot of skill.
Yeah, lots of comments coming in already, and this is from Peter Marsh. He says, saw Rod Thomas play at right fullback over several seasons. He was quick and had great anticipation and would recover lost causes. Not a prolific goal scorer, but I seem to recall that Rod scored a goal from 60 yards in a league game at Villa Park. Before the Home International Championship was cancelled, Rod appeared on our TV screens over multiple summers, rubbing shoulders and impressing against England and Scotland's household names. He captained Derby County to a league championship, playing more centrally. While still a town player, he was often seen driving around Stratton in an immaculate Mark II Cortina. Thanks for the memories, Rod. We got lots of those coming in, Dick. But you weren't impressed with him to begin with, but my goodness me, he certainly impressed later.
Oh, very much so. And I say I remember that game at Villa Park, because he only scored about half a dozen goals, but it sticks in my mind because I'd been at Villa Park 3 or 4 years before, when Rod had played in a team which lost in a replay to Notts Forest. But somehow when you were there for that match, we just got promoted, and I think it was the end of September. Tommy Docherty was the manager of Aston Villa, we went up there thinking, oh, a point today would be a great result. And Arthur Horsfield had put us in front, and then Rod scored a goal. I think it was just before half time, and I don't know what the goalkeeper was doing, but it was a cracking effort. Whether he just looked up and spotted the goalkeeper badly positioned, but it was a superb shot. And it's the one particular thing about him that sticks in my mind to this day. I'm not surprised the other listener mentioned it.
Hi, Derek. With Rod at one, John Trollope the other, Peter Downsbury in goal. Great defence. I had the pleasure to not only support Rod as a footballer, but play cricket for and against Rod, not to mention sharing a pint or three at Foston's Ash. Hi, Robin. One of the finest ever to grace the county ground. What a player. R.I.P. Rod, legend, 1969. And Rich says, a minute's silence on Saturday, please. I mean, that's the one thing that's coming across, actually, Ray and Dick, that the club really should be playing tribute to him on Saturday, and I'm sure they will do. I hope they will. Anyway, I would imagine a minute's silence or a minute's applause, Dick. Which one do you favour now?
Well, I've always been in favour of a minute's silence, but I think I'm beginning to think now, especially given his age, that perhaps a minute's applause is more appropriate.
What about you, Ray? Where do you go for that?
Yeah, no, both work for me. It's all about respecting somebody who deserves our respect, and I think for me, either of those works nicely as far as I'm concerned.
Now, that defence at Wembley, Dick, I mean, obviously Peter Downsbury in goal, as has been mentioned. The fullbacks, John Trollope and Rod Thomas. The central defenders are Frank Burrows and Stan Harland. I mean, what a back five that is, isn't it?
It is, but it was having problems that day because John had come back into the team at left back, having broken his arm earlier in the season. And the first quarter of an hour of the game, he got, I think it was Radford, I can't remember, but there was an Arsenal player giving him an absolute runaround. And thinking of it now, you're thinking, well, probably the managers would have switched the fullbacks round. But actually, in those days, the players sorted it out themselves. I think that was one of the great strengths of it. And whether it was, I think John managed to suss out which way the forward was going, that he always went the same way, but he sort of actually mastered him himself. So they didn't need to rearrange. But yes, what a lineup! Not a weak spot in it. And don't forget Joe Butler, who was a marvellous screen in front of it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Hi, Ken. R.I.P. Rod, a brilliant player for Swindon. Thoughts go out to all his family and to his friends, of course, including his teammates, who must be feeling very sad tonight. I saw Rod play many times for the town. Thanks for the memories. Thoughts are with friends and family. And I know that John Trollope thinks he's one of the best fullbacks he's seen at the club. And by all accounts, he was a bit of a joker as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I dug out, when I heard about his passing, I dug out I keep a file on different players and that. And he featured as a focus in Charlie Buchan's Football Monthly about it must have been around 1970. And he was he sort of had his favourites were Frank Sinatra and Susie Kendall were his favourite singers and actresses and that. And he also mentioned about friends. They asked him, who's your best friend? And he said, I can't say that. He said, I've got far too many. And he was probably right, actually. But he was very quick with a line, and I think he had a bit of an ability to take Frank Sinatra off as well. Yeah, he was a character, and even in his later years, I think he always sort of had a dry wit and humour with him. It's very sad. Reading this article, it said it had his foot. What was his? He was asked what his ambition was, and he said to play first division football with Swindon Town. And of course, he didn't get the second bit, but the first bit he got in spades, because he not only played in the first division, he won the first division with Derby County.
He certainly did. I mean, he came very close, of course, in 69-70. That was the closest they came to getting promotion, wasn't it? They missed out by a whisker, really. A great shame, because how do you think that team would have fared in Division 1?
I think they would have done all right. I think they would have done quite well. You have players there that went on. Stan Harland and Peter Noble moved on from Swindon, and they were quite successful in the higher division. And Danny Williams was able to, I think, he was able to spot a player or where there was a weak link. And to be honest, in that team there wasn't really one. Yeah, I think they would have done well. You don't know these things, but they were a strong side. I suspect one they would have needed to replace was John Smith, because John was a great player, and a great organizer as well. And I always remember you used to call them the Coates. You remember there was an advert of Coates cider, where you had the three yokels. One big, long, lanky one, and this little one, and the fat one. And I always thought Swindon had the ideal cast for that. They had Rod, who was the big, lanky one. They had Joe Butler, the little one, and John Smith, the tubby one. And that's another memory from the semi-final at Burnley. And there was one occasion when they had to line up on the edge of the area to stop a Burnley free kick, and you thought, It's a rather lopsided wall, but it was quite effective.
Well, it's great that you said that, because I think, Ray, we've got a couple of videos as well tonight, haven't we? Going back to 68-69. Which one have we got first?
Let's go. We're talking semi-finals. Let's go for that one a moment. Yeah.
It's December the 18th, 1968. 3 days before Apollo 8 is launched, the crew become the first humans to escape Earth's gravity and make it to lunar orbit, months ahead of the Apollo 11 moon landings. It was also the month that Elvis Presley makes a TV comeback after 7 years under the guidance of Colonel Tom Parker, and the Rolling Stones released their latest LP, Beggar's Banquet. For Swindon Town, it was a date at the Hawthorns for a League Cup semi-final replay against Burnley. The replay was necessary after the two sides were level on aggregate after the second leg at the county ground. Peter Noble and Don Heath passed late fitness tests, so Swindon remain unchanged, and Ralph Coates returns for Burnley. On 7 minutes, Swindon are in front. John Smith hits an unstoppable drive to give the Town the lead. And Swindon are just seconds from Wembley, but are denied in the last minute of normal time. Dave Thomas latches onto a rebound from a goalmouth scramble and fires home. So extra time, and some words needed from Town boss Danny Williams. It's Burnley who strike first. Frank Casper drives into the Town net. It gets better for Swindon though on 104 minutes. Arthur Bellamy puts through his own net and Townend level. 4 minutes later, Swindon get the decider. Peter Noble drives past the Burnley keeper and they're on their way to Wembley for the first time in the club's history. Swindon celebrate in style with the 7,000 town fans at the ground and then with lemonade and fish and chips on their way home. It's now a date with destiny on the Ides of March, the 15th of the month, against the aristocrats of Arsenal under the Twin Towers, the home of football. I mean, what a run that was. Extraordinary stuff. And, you know, to think that now, you know, you're going to go and play Arsenal at Wembley and win a major competition, it seems unlikely. But it just goes to show, Dick, doesn't it, what a team that was. I mean, it wasn't just league games they played. They played a lot of cup matches on horrible pitches, let's be honest. So how fit were these people?
I think that was one of the secrets of their success. It's interesting when you talk to John Trollope, because he said that one of the things with coaching and training nowadays is they always reckon that the one day you don't need to train is the Thursday, 2 days before the match, which I can see, because sometimes when I go to my personal trainer, it's not the day after, it's 2 days after you feel all the aches. But apparently Danny Williams used to really put them through it on a Thursday. They had their heaviest training session of the lot. And you know, the game on a Saturday afternoon was a walk in the park. So that must have, I think all the teams that Swindon have had that have been successful, one of the secrets is fitness. And that team, again, they had it. I mean, they probably had the two in Roger Smart and John Trollope. They had the two fittest players, you know, arguably in their history. But the others weren't far behind. And say, given the state of the pitch that day and the state of the county ground as it usually was, it must have been like a home game for Swindon.
Yeah, I remember seeing they played Rotherham, didn't they, when they gave out the vouchers for the League Cup final and the county ground. I mean, for those who've watched Swindon play at the county ground now, it's gorgeous, isn't it? I mean, it's a perfect carpet. But I remember the Rotherham game, it had been snowing and it was a mess, basically. And an incredible, I think Peter Noble got the winning goal, but it was just a horrible pitch.
Well, I can remember, one of the games I remember is when Swindon beat West Ham down here in a cup tie. Rod would have been played. It was, I think it was a couple of years before they won the League Cup. And I remember Bobby Moore, you know, this England player there, who'd won the World Cup in '66, playing the county ground, and it was almost, he was disdained almost. Have I got to kick this ball? It's covered in mud, you know, looking at it. And by that time, somebody like Don Rogers had swept up and taken the ball away from him, and he was looking bemused. And again, although the pitch was heavy, Swindon in general and Don Rogers in particular used to float over it.
Yeah, well, I say Don Rogers, he never ran, he floated, didn't he? This is from Daz, 30 international caps for Wales while playing for Swindon Town, making him the most capped international player in the club's history. Full international debut of 1967 against Northern Ireland, score 0-0. Mark says, evening, my old school teacher, Mr. Mattick. Great teacher, by the way, says Mark Bowditch. So greetings to you.
Hello, Bomber. Good to see you, Bomber.
Ray, what are your memories? I mean, you know, without embarrassing us, you are a lot younger than us. So what are your memories of Rod Thomas?
Yeah, that doesn't happen very often, that I'm too young for anything anymore, so I'll just enjoy it. But no, mine come from video, obviously, and I have watched quite a few times. And I mean, the thing that sticks in my mind is the word that comes to my mind is cultured. He looked so classy in a lot of the clips that I saw of him. And you mentioned the telescopic legs. You could see that as well. He was definitely a good tackler, but he just looks such a classy player from the footage that I've seen. Yeah.
And he got attention too, didn't he, Dick? I mean, people were looking at him. I mean, obviously, we'll move on to Derby County in a little while and what he did there. But, you know, I always remember watching a home international, Kenneth Wolstenholme saying, yeah, Liverpool seem to be interested in him. I'd be very interested to listen to a conversation between Danny Williams and the great Bill Shankly. I mean, that would have been quite a conversation, wouldn't it? If Liverpool were in from at that time, wow, he must have been a player.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember, was he playing when we actually beat Liverpool down here? Jimmy Allen was the goalkeeper, I remember. And I remember Bill Shankly after the game sort of, we going to lose that. Yeah. Yeah, it was, there were some marvellous games. And we always remember the League Cup run. But that wasn't a one-off, you know. They had some great runs in the cup just before, just after, and the season that after they won promotion again, it was a really good season. They had some excellent performances, and just a couple of games at home at the end of the season, for some reason or other, they just seemed to lose it. I remember Blackpool, I think it was, and you know, I think if we'd have won, we hadn't lost a home game all season, and I think then we either lost two or lost one and drew one right at the tail end of the season, and it all went away.
I'm trying to find out, actually. I'm just trying to look to see if anybody knows if he did play in that. I mean, we all remember the Don Rogers 2 goals against Liverpool, of course. That was a great memory. I think John Trollope, didn't he pull a hamstring when he squared the ball for John Rogers to get the first, if I remember rightly? So bear with me while I try to find out. And if anybody wants to send that in, rather than me messing about with my phone whilst concentrating on this, it would be great. So Derby County come in. Now, this was at a time, of course, when Dave Mackay had left Swindon. I think he went briefly to Nottingham Forest, didn't he, as manager there. Then he went to Derby County to replace Brian Clough. And I've got a lovely story here from Mike Gwynn. And he said, just read the sad news of Rod Thomas's passing. He was a wonderful footballer. This is the most memorable thing I remember him for. The amusing memory I have is when he was about to sign for Derby. The story goes that he was driven for his interview by a member of the Swindon coaching staff, and in an effort to persuade him not to sign, the route he was taken purposefully was through some of the least desirable areas of Derby. It didn't work. Addendum, Les Allen was the Swindon manager when Rod was sold. Dave Mackay, the Derby manager, of course, who obviously remembers him from his time at Swindon. Dave Mackay, I don't know, wasn't the most successful of Swindon managers, was he? But he obviously did well at Derby because they won the league.
Well, I think the thing was, he at Derby, he had the money in the backing to put together a team of players that won it. I mean, I think the sad thing about it, the thing with Rod Thomas, it was interesting. It shows perhaps his quality that the manager, the chairman at the time, Eric Lane, Swindon were very unlucky. They built the big new stand just when there was an oil crisis in the Middle East and interest rates shot up. So a stand that was going to cost 200,000 cost 400,000, and to pay for it, Swindon had to sell one of their better players. But Eric Lane said, oh no, we won't sell both. It'll be Don or Rod. We won't sell them both. But of course, once Don had gone, the opportunity of promotion to the First Division, which must be every player's ambition, I suppose, Rod wanted to go as well because he could see that Swindon weren't going to get there because there was just no money for new players. And I think the great sadness was that Dave Mackay was brought in at Swindon over the head of Fred Ford, because I think Swindon thought, he's a good player. We want him as a player, and to bring him here, we'll promise him we'll make him the manager. But like so many managers, he's wiped his feet on Swindon Town, learnt his trade, and gone on to success elsewhere.
Yeah, I remember, I think it was Middlesbrough. They lost to Middlesbrough at home and Fred Ford was sacked, and then in came Dave Mackay as manager. And yes, it was a bit of a demise of the team because, of course, then Stan Harlan left and the team broke up, didn't they? That was the beginning of the end, really, and relegation to the Third Division followed. Let's go back to a glory day then, Ray, shall we? March the 15th, 1969. Let's remember that. It's March 1969. The world's attention is focused on events such as John Lennon marrying Yoko Ono, Apollo 9 continuing America's mission to the moon, the British Concorde's maiden flight from Filton to Fairford, and the Cray twins being jailed for life. For Swindon fans, however, there was just one focus: the League Cup final at Wembley against the North London giants, Arsenal. Gary Williams leads out his team on the day which was to become legendary in Swindon Town's history. Town captain Stan Harlan leads Princess Margaret along the Swindon line and introduces the players, including Roger Smart, and then the toss of a coin with Arsenal captain Frank McClintock. Swindon keeper Peter Downsborough performs heroics as he keeps Arsenal at bay. And down on 35 minutes, Smart opens the scoring, a mix-up in the Arsenal defence, and the town man is able to walk the ball into the net. It's 1-0 to Swindon. It stays that way until the dying minutes of the game. Arsenal striker Bobby Gould pounces and heads home after what Downsborough says was his mistake.
I had no ticket, so I ended up buying one off of a tout. When I got in, I found it was in with all the Arsenal supporters, which was really pleasant. The day was really good, in fairness. I mean, we scored and there was about 4 or 5 of us jumped up, and the Arsenal people were fine with us. There was no problems. Was choked up, obviously, like most people, when Bobby Gould managed to scrape one home.
Into extra time, and Don Rogers beautifully crafts Swindon's second from close range. 15 minutes from becoming legends. That status was confirmed when Don Rogers rounded Bob Wilson and slides the ball into the net in front of 30,000 Swindon fans who celebrate wildly. So the cup was won and legends are born. Captain Stan Harlan walks up the famed 39 steps to collect the Football League Cup. An amazing day, remembered in souvenirs, Roger Smart's boots and tankard, and pictures, and Swindon Hospital Radio's legendary recording, and of course, by the fans.
Oh yeah, I was very excited. It's quite a big occasion, you know. Yeah. But, I had a few good occasions over the years with Swindon, but yeah, that's my main. I still watch the video sometimes. Yeah, have a check out on it, and yeah, and then after the game we come home. Just about made Lambourne for a pint, I think, because it's quite late till we get back, nearly 11 o'clock. And then we go home and we all down the road in our estate singing. We got Peter Downsborough, number 1. And we go all through the team, so I won't do that today. But I do it to myself at home occasionally. I go right through the team, but yeah.
It's such a long time ago, but it doesn't seem such a long time
ago. No, I know. No, very enjoyable day. I'll never ever forget it. But yeah.
Will it ever happen again?
I can't see it somehow. But you never know.
You never know.
You never know. But yeah, very enjoyable.
Derek and Rayu still go home and away watching the town, which is extraordinary, isn't it, all these years later. Craig has said Rod Thomas did play in that game against Liverpool, so he saved me the effort of checking, which is good. I should have checked beforehand. But so there we are. That day, Dick, obviously stands in the memory of all Swindon fans who were there. Ray, you must have watched that video like me. I watch it every 15th of March, which is sad in one way, but not in another. I mean, you know, you as a younger person, what does that day mean to you?
Yeah, it's fabulous. And you can't take away like what an achievement it was as well. And I was thinking about it earlier today because, you know, doing something like that these days would bring fame and fortune, and it didn't for the guys like Rod Thomas. It didn't really. It was just a massive sporting achievement, an incredible sporting achievement, and so it didn't, it didn't instantly mean they were whisked away to better things there and then, which would happen these days. And it was really interesting listening to the efforts they went to driving through Derby to pick a route that would make him stay. But you know, it obviously sad to lose him at that point. But that's after 350 odd games.
Yeah.
whilst he was playing for Wales. So he was an international still playing for Swindon. And he obviously, as you said, had ambitions to go to the very top with Swindon. So it's fantastic, that kind of the achievements of that era and the likes of Rod Thomas. And, you know, to get 350 odd games out of him is fantastic. I mean, we talk about these days about not getting attached to a loan player, but it was just fantastic what he and others achieved, really.
Yeah, I mean, the longest serving player for Swindon, I think, is Harrison Minturn, and then Paul Glatzel, who's been here 2 years, which goes to show, doesn't it? That's the kind of difference now between now and then. Daz says Roy Jones was in goal when we beat Liverpool 2-0. October the 6th, 1970, Rod Thomas was playing, so Don scoring both goals. Actually, Roy Jones is a bit of a forgotten hero in many respects, Dick, isn't he? Because not only did he play in that goal, in that game, of course, he played in the Anglo-Italian as well. So, you know, he played his part.
Yeah, I'm just remembering now that, because it was I remember Jimmy Allen. What it was he when the museum was set up, we had an evening at the county ground, and Jimmy Allen spoke about that game as being when he he thought what a wonderful club Swindon was, and he wasn't actually playing then. He just come in as a youngster. Roy Jones is. I mean, that was a very interesting piece with him and his guitars. You had some time back, wasn't it, with Roy Jones?
It was. Yeah, now in South Africa. I mean, he's a big blues fan, as am I, and we are going to have him on one day just to talk about blues. So if you're not into blues, go and do something else. But it'll be fascinating. I mean, he makes guitars basically out of cigar boxes, which is extraordinary, really, and what a character. Now, Rod Thomas, I mean, how good was he, Dick? You know, we talk about great players now, but, you know, to have played all those games for Wales, played for Swindon, then moved on to the First Division, got a First Division winners' medal. I think they won the Charity Shield as well. So he was some player, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he was got to be, I think, in the Swindon all-time greats team. You know, both for what he did at Swindon and the fact that he's obviously been able to play that many internationals. And dare I say it, I hope Julie's not listening because she's Welsh, but it in some ways, although Wales aren't the strongest international team, if you're a defender, I think sometimes it's harder to keep a position in the team because you're getting beat so often. You know, the defenders normally get the blame for it. So to do 50 caps for Wales, that is some going.
He started out at Gloucester City, of course, so he had a non-league grounding. Do you think that makes a difference to a player like Rod? I mean, you know, all that team are very grounded, aren't they? They're not, you know, you see Don and John regularly, occasionally Joe Butler. They're not showy. They just turn up to watch the game. They'll chat to whoever they want to chat to. That whole team was like that.
Yeah, and it's very interesting that in this article in the Football Monthly, he was mentioning Tom Casey and Den Anderson as the two people, along with his dad, who'd had the most influence on his career. And they were both people at Gloucester City that probably most people in football had never heard of. But, you know, he paid tribute to them as being the ones that actually, you know, got him to be a professional footballer. And I think you have to give some credit as well to Danny Williams. A lot of people pass over Danny Williams as being a bit of a figurehead, and that team organised themselves. That you know, anybody could have managed them because Frank Burrows and John Smith were such good leaders on the pitch. But it was Danny that switched him to fullback. I'm not sure if he got on the field once. He was a substitute, and I don't know if he came on for a game where Swindon won 5-1, I think, against Mansfield. And then he played in 2 games at left back, both of which ended in goalless draws. So he can't have done too badly. And by the next season, he was pretty regularly playing at right back.
You mentioned Danny Williams. We should say, of course, I think it's on Wednesday, Thursday rather, which would have been Danny Williams' birthday. So it's particularly poignant that we talk about him right now. Of course, such a great manager, managed twice at Swindon and took them to Wembley. Not the following year, though, of course, because Danny left in the summer, didn't he? He went off to Sheffield Wednesday. So, that was up to Fred Ford to take them to the Anglo-Italian Cups.
Yeah, it spoilt my holiday, that did. We were on holiday in Southport, and I remember I heard, oh, no, Danny's going. And it was, what a desperate blow that was. Fortunately, I think Fred Ford was a very good manager. They couldn't have picked a better replacement for Danny, but having to replace him was difficult. But it's the same with anything. You've got to grab your chance when it comes along, and fair play. He'd led. He was a manager and had created a team, which I think even if a third division team won the League Cup, it wouldn't be the achievement that team did, because they beat every team they played. I mean, nowadays, all you'd have to do is stop the other team scoring and kick penalties better than they do, and you could still get through. But they had to beat every team.
Yeah, and we should remember, of course, that Arsenal side, Swindon couldn't play in the Intercities Fairs Cup as it was then because they were a third division team. So Gigi Perinacci came up with this Anglo-Italian competition. They beat Roma over 2 legs to win that one, the Anglo-Italian League Cup Winners' Cup. Brackets, close brackets, and then the Anglo-Italian Cup. The point is, Ray, if I said to you now, without you looking at the history of the club, Swindon beat Juventus at home 4-0. They beat Sampdoria at home, I think it was 4-0. They beat Roma over 2 legs 5-2. And they were the first British team to beat Napoli in Naples as well. And they were the only team to do that until Manchester City did it. These are extraordinary things, aren't they?
Yeah, it shows how good they were, and it does show that there was no fluke about winning the League Cup as well, doesn't it? They did beat, as you say, other top opponents along the way in that as well. So it showed that they were a seriously good set of players, and yeah, it's an amazing set of results, and not the like we've seen since, really.
What if history had been different, Dick? We can't say, obviously, but had they won the Intercities Fairs Cup, what would that have done to the club?
Well, again, it would have brought a lot of money in, for one thing, and it would have made a big difference, because one of the things I'm working my literary project at the moment is a financial history of Swindon Town, and it's interesting that that nearly always a period of success is followed by a period of failure, because the success has built expectations which don't go on to be fulfilled, and a club of Swindon's size always struggles to maintain a higher level, and it's just that had we got in the first division, had we won the thing, those sort of things would have made we could have become established like a team like Coventry, or I'm trying to think of other examples that, for 10 or 20 years. And of course, had we been been up there and able to sustain that for a period before the Premiership came in, we could have been an established Premiership club. I don't think that'll happen ever now, but say you never know. And it just shows what a team can do, and it's interesting that the two attitudes that different people have to the club's history. Steve McMahon didn't want to know about it. Anything to do with the past. Well, that's we'll forget that, get rid of that. I think Ian Holloway's the other way. He realises the club's got a tradition, and he's very proud to be manager of it, and that's. That comes across to the players, and they feel, well, we're proud to wear this shirt because it's got a lot of history attached to it.
Yeah, sliding doors moments, I think it's fair to say, isn't it? It's all if, buts and maybes, isn't it, really? So, Ray, what does it mean to the younger generation, all this? We talk about Rod Thomas, a wonderful player, and such a sad loss today. What does it mean to the younger generation, do you think?
Yeah, I think it is sad because it's a little bit like when you get to the anniversary of the World Wars, and every year the ceremonies have less and less people there that were part of it, and it's a little bit like that in a smaller way. That, you know, our history is a little bit like that with this great period in the club's history. There aren't too many of those guys left around, so it's really sad to see anybody go, but another one of them's gone. And that for me, you know, I'm not young, but I'm younger generation. But that does kind of, you know, sticks in my mind that we've been very lucky to have had this history, and we shouldn't take for granted. I don't think we do. We do talk about it fairly regularly, which is a nice thing. But yeah, so for me, it's we should remember this period, and if nothing else, is something to give you a little bit of hope, isn't it? As well, that the good times do roll around again. So in the intervening years, we have had some good times, some really good sort of times where we did reach the top flight, etc. But these great times don't come along too often. But it's worth remembering that they do sometimes come along.
Yeah, I always enjoy them. The two Dons, Rogers and Heath, of course, John and Joe and Roger. I think they're the five that are left from the starting 11, Dick. And then we've got Owen Dawson, I think. Roy Jones, as we've mentioned already, Chris Jones, whose birthday it is this week, who scored the promotion clinching goal up at Rotherham all those years ago. So I think they're kind of the ones that are left, really, which is sad, but is inevitable.
I don't know if Mickey Blick's still around, because there were 15 players played in the cup run, and
he played one game, didn't he?
Yeah, I got for the museum, got a set of badges, and it said 15 badges, and I thought it was the 15 players, but in fact it was 14 players and Danny Williams, and Mickey Blick wasn't included in that.
Yeah, he did play one game, if I remember rightly, in that competition. Hi, Craig. Just read the programme for the Liverpool game from 1970, which revealed a wonderful bit of trivia. The flagstaff on the main stand at Anfield was the topmast of Brunel's Great Eastern Ship. Did you know that, Dick?
I didn't know that, no.
Well, there you go.
I knew they had a part of a warship in the Blackpool boardroom was supposed to be haunted, because the wooden panelling came from a ship that had been wrecked on the shore at Blackpool, and the captain's ghost was supposed to haunt the boardroom. But I didn't know that. No, I shall note that and repeat it with happiness tomorrow.
Yeah, any dinner parties you go to in the near future, you can drop that one in. That'd be great.
Well, I'm playing golf with a Liverpool supporter, so I'll mention him. Yeah.
Excellent. Well done. Yes. So we're coming to the close, really, because we didn't expect to do this tonight. I mean, in a way, Ray, I'm sorry that we are doing it. Do you take the point I'm making?
Yeah, absolutely. But really important that we are, Vic, as well. Because, you know, it is so important that these things don't just happen without us paying attention. And you know, he deserves, from everything he achieved, he deserves our respect and our time this evening, really.
Yeah. What would you like to say, Dick? I mean, I think you know what that team means to me. I said it to John Trollope enough. You know, I was proud to watch them, even though it makes you feel a little bit older than, you know, many others. But I was proud to watch that team, and it does mean a great deal. We were one of the English football giants at that time.
Yeah, well, I think distance does lend enchantment, but I mean, I was enchanted with them at the time, and 50 years. And actually, I have to say, one of the things that growing old has given to me is the chance to talk to these people that played, John and Don, that were just, you know, people that were up there, that were some kinds of magical gods, and to talk to them and to find out they're just such ordinary, humble people. And you know, I think people as when Don talked to the youth team at Manchester United, people could learn an awful lot by talking to them about their attitude, the fact that they realised how lucky they were to be footballers. I mean, it was interesting in this article I've been on about the Rod Thomas in the Football Monthly. What would you be if you hadn't been a footballer? Never thought about being anything else. Wouldn't want to have been. But the fact that, you know, that it was to play football was to them, you know, that was a dream come true. Never mind winning things. And I think sometimes that helps.
Yeah, and as you know, with the museum, Steve Mighton and I took Don, Joe and John up to Wembley to revisit Wembley. Gosh, was it last year? I think it was a year ago. And I just remember being on the tube chatting to Don and thinking, I'm talking to Don Rogers. Now, if you'd said that to me when I was a 13-year-old boy watching the town, I'd have not been able to speak. You know, it's that kind of thing. And I get exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much indeed for your time, Dick. I know it's a sad day for you as well, as it is for all Swindon Town fans. And, you know, we should remember Rod Thomas for the great player he was and what he did for the town. And the amount of international caps he got shows just what a very good player he was. And Ray, I know you didn't see him play, but he obviously means a lot to you in terms of the videos you've watched.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And he did stand out for his class, really. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, let's finish as we started then. On this very sad day, the passing of Rod Thomas, with a look back at his career. Thank you very much indeed for watching. We'll be back next Monday with a Monday night panel. But for now, let's pay tribute to the great Rod Thomas. Roderick John Thomas was born in Clincorrig near Neath on the 11th of January 1947. After beginning his career at Gloucester City, Bert Head signed him for Swindon in July 1964. The cost? £500. Tremendous value for a player who went on to become the most capped player in Swindon's history. After securing a place in the town's first team, he gained international honours for Wales at under-23 and full level. His debut in the senior side, a 0-0 draw with Northern Ireland. Rod made over 300 appearances for Swindon, including in the famous 1968-69 League Cup and promotion winning side, and playing a major part in the double Anglo-Italian success of 1969-70. Former town boss Dave Mackay persuaded him to join Derby County in 1973 for £100,000, and Rod was part of their title-winning side in 1975. He also saw service for Cardiff City, a second spell with Gloucester, Newport, Bath and Barry. Roderick John Thomas reunited with his 68-69 teammates on the 50th anniversary of their success. Roderick John Thomas, a true Swindon Town legend.